Centralizing, buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one thinks gun. Trees, laugh to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one thinks gun. Trees, lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On, right here on UCY.TV, and I'm your host for the next hour. It is Thursday, April the 21st, 2016. Prince has died, and I'm not sure what of. I have a sister-in-law that has lupus that said that Prince also suffered from lupus. I don't know if that's correct or not. I have no idea. And I see on the internet a lot of people are posting up this video that I saw some time ago of Prince talking about Dick Gregory, who they'd thrown in jail way back in the, I think, 60s, black comedian. And that Dick had been talking about chemtrails or something here, and Prince had heard his, or saw the video, and he got interested. So in this video, he's talking to some host on some show of some sort, and he's explaining this stuff, and he's talking about chemtrails and stuff. And a lot of people are going, well, see, they killed him because he's talking about chemtrails, or he died from chemtrail flu. And the same thing happened when Merle Haggard died a few weeks ago on his 79th birthday. And Merle had a song called What I Hate. And in that song, he said what he hated was statesmen who speak out with both sides of their mouth, and some other things, and also the chemtrails that mess up his nice blue sky. So we have this situation where people are jumping on the I don't want to call it a conspiracy bandwagon. For all I know, they are whacking these guys. Who knows? But I don't have any proof of it, so I ain't going there. People bring up the Michael Jackson song, which she's in a prison or something. I think it's called They Don't Care About Us or something. He seemed particularly pissed off. And then he died, and they said he got whacked. Now, it's possible. Anything's possible. We live in very sick times. All of these entertainers, these top entertainers, have obviously been indoctrinated into some sort of a system where they do as they're told. And I think it starts out in the beginning of offering stardom, and then they get hooked. It seems that's how it works, because music changes people's minds. Music influences people. So when they want to move the masses, they use music, in particular, entertainment, to do so. So you've got these celebrities like Bruce Springsteen and Bryan Adams and Circus Olay and Ringo Starr and a bunch of these other ones refusing to play concerts or put on shows because of this transgendered, lesbian, gay thing. And you got to ask yourself a question: why are they doing that? Well, April, I think it was April 14th to 18th, maybe, was UN lesbian LBGTQ. I can never remember all them stupid letters. We live in a world of acronyms, and so that United Nations push for equality, sexual equality, it was going on at the same time these guys were canceling their performances in North Carolina and Mississippi, and probably other places throughout the United States, and probably in other countries as well. So you can put a linkage to this stuff. Now, whether they're whacking these other artists that may be saying, you know what, I ain't going to play the game anymore. I got my wealth, and I don't need this crap. I'm putting up with it. And I don't know if there's a conversation that goes like, without us, you wouldn't be where you are today. You owe us, kind of like, the mafioso or whatever. And you either do as you're told or, well, sayonara. So I don't know. I can't get a linkage to that. I can't get a linkage to the other guys that are canceling their performances straight back to the United Nations. That linkage I can connect. Now, I watched the video of Prince today, the one I was talking about earlier. And in there, he's talking about chemtrails, and then he's talking about when he was over in Europe, that you can actually get UN television, okay, because they are massive propagandists. And I mean, who's the UN? The UN is the WHO. The UN is the International Monetary Fund. The UN is the World Bank. The world, the United Nations is UNESCO, which controls education. United Nations is the FAO, which is the Food and Agricultural Organization, which controls your food. And then you have, there's a group in the UN to cover every aspect of everything on the planet. So they, I guess, broadcast UN TV over in Europe. And he was watching it, he said, and they were always talking about the importance of God. Now, I don't know where he got that in particular, now, unless he was confused that they were talking about God. They would have been talking about interconnectivity of all the religions, because the global movement is all about interconnectivity. We're all interconnected. That old nonsense of a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere, it'll cause something, a hurricane or whatever, somewhere else on the planet. This kind of nonsense. There's nonsense that if you start your car here, you will impact somebody's air on the other side of the planet. Total freaking nonsense, but this is what the propaganda machine does. So he's talking about, he was impressed on how the UN was always talking about the necessity of God, and how in the West we'd killed God and yada yada. So he's really playing up the United Nations in that talk he was giving. So it seems people, don't really hear a whole lot about what they're listening to, because the stuff that's getting posted on the internet is about chemtrails, and it seems like that's the only thing they heard. Now, Prince also says or said, I guess he can't say anything anymore, but said that he's a Jehovah's Witness. Well, if you look at the Jehovah's Witness with their connection to the United Nations, and the Jehovah's Witnesses, you would think would be totally against the United Nations. But you can find all kinds of evidence about the United Nations and the Jehovah's Witnesses. They come around to your homes with this little booklet they have called the Watchtower, and telling you, that they're God-abiding people and that, but but the connection between the Watchtower and the United Nations is a long, long history. And the United Nations, or the Watchtower Association, in 1992, the Watchtower became an association NGO with the United Nations. This was despite spending decades condemning the UN as the scarlet-colored wild beast of revolution. As a result, many Jehovah's Witnesses severed ties with the Watchtower for what they consider a hypocritical and dishonest chapter of the religion's history. But anyways, in 1992, that's Rio. That is the year of the Earth Charter. That is when Agenda 21 was signed on by most of the world, by your so-called leaders, who in fact are followers, not leaders at all, and therefore you ought to chuck their asses out on the street. If anybody should be homeless, it's everyone in the Congresses, the legislatures, and the presidential and prime ministerial offices. These people ought to be turned into street people overnight. They have no business pretending that they are the leadership of our nations. Okay, they're the ass kissers, the brown nosers of the United Nations and the people that created the United Nations. None of your elected, so-called elected officials in any way represent the people of the nations. They've been trying to take down the West since well before the First World War. Anyways, in 1992, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, probably has something to do with Rockefellers, applied for a non-governmental organization associate member of the United Nations Department of Public Information. This is the closest relationship an NGO can form with the UN. The application was renewed annually and is a matter of public record. So we have an organization which denounces the UN on one hand for a certain period of time and then becomes the closest associate NGO that is possible in 1992. Now, this is a fairly long document, and it has a lot of information in it. Here it has the application forms, I think, and everything. And as I go down here, it says to download the letter from the United Nations website, go to and click on the link, letters from regarding Watchtower Relations 2004. Originally this appeared at the UNDPI, whatever, it's all in here, I'll put it in the chat. It was an archive of that page appearing at a webarchive.org as 20th of 2016. Let's see. As the above letter outlines, the Watchtower is an associated NGO. To become associated required the NGO to accept the following: that the NGO share the ideals of the United Charter, or the UN Charter, have a demonstrated interest in United Nations issues and a proven ability to reach target or specialized audiences, that's them going door to door with their little Watchtower magazine, such as educators, media representatives, policymakers, and business community. Have the commitment and means to conduct effective information programs about UN activities by publishing newsletters, bulletins, and pamphlets, organizing conferences, seminars, and roundtables, and establish cooperation with the media. Since the United Nations 1945 formation, associated NGOs have been required to support the work of the United Nations. This was reiterated in 68, Economic and Social Council. In 68, the Economic and Social Council, by Resolution 1297, the 27th of May, called on DPI associate NGOs, bearing in mind the letter and spirit of its resolution, 1296, 23rd of May, which stated that an NGO shall undertake to support the work of the United Nations and to promote knowledge of its principles and activities in accordance with its own aims and purposes and the nature and scope of its competence and activities. The opening paragraph of the 1991 application form, which the Watchtower was required to submit, contains an instruction to provide information yearly to the United States. It states, provide us with proof of your organization's nonprofit status and with an annual report of its activities related to the United Nations. And I like I said, I'll put this in. It's worth going through. Now, I did have a document. Now, I can't find a damn thing. It's got to be on another computer. I think they've scrubbed it off the internet. It was, I think, about an 18-page document on how they took over the Christian churches in America, in particular. It started really in 1962. Okay, so this has been going on a long time, and it was to infiltrate the churches and for the churches to push the UN agendas, okay, which is completely opposite to what the churches are supposed to be doing, okay, and to basically deceive their patronage or their whatever their what do you call it, church people, congregations, in order for them to get to accept the program of the United Nations, which is exactly what's going on here with the Jehovah's Witness and the Watchtower. Let's see. And anyways, it goes all the way back here to, when I get down near the bottom here, this goes all the way back to the League of Nations. When the League of Nations was initially established, the Watchtower praised and espoused its virtues. It said, we cannot but admire the high principles embodied in the League of Nations. Truly, this is idealistic and approximates in a small way that which God has foretold that he will bring about after this great time of trouble. Watchtower, 1919, February 15th, page 51. Later, the Watchtower became vocal in regular condemnation of the League of Nations and United Nations, referring to it as a blasphemous and idolatrous organization and labeling the scarlet wild beast of Revelation. So here you have an outfit that's jumping in and out, in and out, in and out, right? So I don't know. See, so many people join organizations or churches or, community groups and that, who do not take the time to look into the organizations properly. And this is how they gather people up, okay? Most people just go along to get along. And, Bill joined this, so I'm going to join this. And have no idea what the hell they actually joined or who's running it or what's behind it. And that gets dangerous. So I'm gonna put this. There's a lot of stuff in here, letters and all kinds of stuff. But this isn't the United Nations press release here. When's this from? February 1992. I'd have to blow it up to read it. But anyways, that's the letter sent from the Jehovah's Witness or the Watchtower to so while Prince was ticked off about the chemtrails, and this is what I see so often. People get bitching and complaining about fluoride and they don't see anything else, or they get onto chemtrails, or they get onto whatever the subject may be, but they seem to get stuck on a particular subject, and they don't seem to get a grip on all the other things that are attached to it. So they, in fact, end up becoming like useful idiots, because they're just not wrapping their brain around it. They're not taking a wide enough look at things. So we have Prince, who was bitching about chemtrails. Everybody's happy about that. And then we have the Jehovah's Witness connection to the United Nations, which is very strong. And I did read about, and I'm not going to go looking for that now. It was years ago I read that about the guy who actually created the Jehovah's Witness group, and it was pretty shady stuff. Now, whether Prince looked into it or not, probably not. So, you know, he was in one sense, you know, bitching about the United Nations. Oh, I got a call here, and it looks like the long lost duck has reappeared. I heard he's been over at the United Nations for the last few weeks. Duck, you there?
Hi, Chris from Canada.
Yeah, but can you walk like a duck?
I can.
You can.
And I talk like one sometimes too.
Do you?
You're talking about the Jehovah's Witness faith. I am first-hand experienced at that. As in, a lot of my family members are Jehovah's Witnesses.
Really? We should have a party.
Yes. Well, yeah. Actually, I was on Charles Giuliani's show, Truth Hurts, a few years back.
Uh-huh.
I never did call in because I was supposed to call back, and we were supposed to have a discussion on that religion. But to my family's regret, I am probably one of the only ones that is not a Jehovah's Witness, and neither are my children. So I couldn't really call in and discuss that religion. However, that being said, there's a lot of misnomers out there about that religion and what they believe they are doing, and trying to wake people up as to the proper religion, I guess. Some of what you read and some of what I've seen in the past, that they predicted the end of the world. Did you know? 4 times already.
Well, most every religion has.
Yeah. Now I asked my uncle. He was an elder in the religion, and he was an elder for about 30 years.
Okay.
Very experienced man, very intelligent. I asked him why that is, and his simple explanation was, well, there are people within our belief that are just simply people, and they make mistakes. That's the best I got out of it. So that.
Yeah, but religion, I mean, you know, I use the King James Bible as a search engine, word search engine, and along with etymology and some old dictionaries and that. And, you know, the Bible warns people of religion. I mean, you look at it, it's ludicrous, right? The Christian religion, if you will, is supposed to basically believe in God and Creator, and the scriptures in that. Well, okay, that's all well and good, but I have no idea how many different religions there are that refer to them as Christian. Now, how can people be that screwed up, Okay, that you have. I mean, I mean, you could start rhyming these things off, and I don't know where you would end up. You would have a very, very long list. So what you have is you have the religious groups fighting amongst themselves. My religion is better than your religion. Well, I thought you all basically are coming from the same point. But then you wander off on yourselves, right? Now, I'm not so sure that the that the average Jehovah Witness or the average Pentecostal or the average United Churchgoer or any of these people get what's going on. Okay, they are sheep, and there wouldn't be so many religions if they weren't sheep. You know, somebody starts a new church somewhere, and oh well, I like this preacher better than the other preacher, so people move over to this other church. I mean, it's not about what it's supposed to be about. I mean, I've talked to lots of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I actually enjoy talking to them, and they get screwed up pretty quick. When you put a question to them, they really have difficult times answering the questions because they're told what to say. They regurgitate what they're told to say. And once you get them away from what they're regurgitating out into a conversation, they get messed up real fast, right? And
well, you got to put what they do in context, Ron. Like my mom, my own mother is a Jehovah's Witness, and she's very faithful. And that's why her and I don't get along so well. But her explanation, and I do kind of somewhat respect it, is in the Bible. I can't go verse in Scripture because I don't have one in front. I do actually have the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, and I don't know if that would be that accurate, but apparently from what she's been told it is. But the point being is there is a Scripture in the Bible that says to you must share the truth with your fellow man, whatever.
Right.
And that's why they go door to door. And trust me, now this day and age, it takes a very brave person to go door to door, knocking on doors and say, "Hi, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and I would like to speak with you." Well, I mean, Jesus Christ, in America, you know, you're dodging bullets.
Well, when I was a very young child, 5, 6, 7 years old, the phone would ring, and then my mother would say, "Get away from the windows, right? Shut the blinds, and get down on the floor or something, or you know." And we go, "What the hell?
Pretend we're not home.
What's going on?" And she go, "The witnesses are coming." And not the witnesses, and we go, "I don't know what they are, but by Jesus, we better hide." And then I found that kind of odd because we were taken to church every Sunday. And here you have two so-called groups that refer to themselves as Christians hiding on each other. So that's the problem with religion in general. Okay.
Well, I tend to handle it. I tend to handle it in a more mature manner. Well, when I have a gentleman that comes here every Sunday or Saturday. Yeah. Just depends on his. He can only do it on weekends. He works during the week, and he's pushing. And I explained to him already that my whole fucking family. My whole freaking family is witnesses. But I'm not buying. You know. But he gets that, and he tries to get into a conversation with me, and I try to explain to him what I see the world as and how I feel the world should be fixed. We clash, but I'm still respectful in my conversation with him.
Well, I am.
We agree to disagree, and he comes back the next week and tries again.
Well, you said
I can live with that. You know, I don't have to be rude and slam the door or duck under a window. Or
I have no problem with talking with these people because, they want to talk the truth. Fine, let's talk the truth, right? And that's where they get messed up. Because I don't care what anybody says. Religion is nothing different than politics. Okay, it's the same. It's the same animal.
Is that why they separate the two, or supposedly?
You separate and divide the people. That's what religion does.
Sure.
And that's the problem with religion. I have no use for religion. It is an indoctrination process of different sects of a religion, supposedly a singular religion, yet it is totally fractured amongst the different sectors of it, the different groups who can't come together on anything, just like politics. So I'm always a guy who just give me the common denominator. That's all I'm interested in. I don't want all the bullshit, right? So, I have to make my own decision. Do I believe I am an offspring of an ape, as the United Nations would have me believe, and the scientific community would have me believe, with no evidence? Or would I look to a creator, again, with no evidence except for what I can see? Now, I know man didn't make any of these trees, and I can't particularly understand how a big bang, of which science can't give any credence to, created all of these different things. So,
well, you're correct.
I'm not an animal.
There is a creator. What that creator is nobody knows.
No, and I don't need to know, really. I need to know, and I look in particular
today
to the Aboriginal people who again the UN have got screwed up so badly. Because the United Nations and those guys who created it, they're data collectors, and they look at the data and they figure out how they can use it to their advantage, and they do it through suggestion. They don't tell you what to think or what to do, really. What they do is they make suggestions, and they'll make multiple suggestions, but all of those suggestions, whichever one you pick, ends you up at the same place. Okay? They just suggest to you in different forms something that your mind will accept, and you think, oh, I made this decision. You didn't make any decision. It's like hypnosis, right? Okay, you're feeling sleepy. Now quack like a duck. And that's exactly what this suggestion is. And that's what hypnosis is, a suggestion. So, this whole, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but this whole thing is a total mess. So I'm just trying to say to the people out there that are jumping on this bandwagon of Prince was knocked off because he.
Well, you can go in a different direction with what you're saying. I mean, we have an issue with migration. There's every day you read in the media. We got 30,000 more sponsors sponsoring 300,000 more immigrants.
Right.
And they're telling you that's a good thing.
A vast majority of those sponsors are Christian churches or Christian church members.
Yes,
now, how screwed up is that?
No, these are Catholics sponsoring Muslims who want nothing more than to see the death of the Catholics and anybody else that happens to be of our persuasion, European, white descent. But, you
sound like a racist. You sound like a racist to me, Chris.
Damn, I know. I gotta
I couldn't help that.
Yeah. Well, but and then they go, geez, why did we lose another plant? Why? How come I'm not getting a raise? How come the no bridges are getting built? Well, because we're becoming diluted. And I mean, I'm talking not even only mentally, but as a race, we are getting diluted.
Well, and that ain't by mistake, my friend.
I know that. So, there begs a bigger question. Is it the Muslims?
Is it the Muslims? Well, the Muslims are just part of the package.
Exactly.
Okay. The Muslims, like I said, I had a meeting with them about 4 years ago when they brought the Muslim youth. They were trying to have a meeting here, and I was the only one that showed up to it, and which was good because it gave me all the time in the world to talk to these guys. And these guys have been convinced that Sharia law will be the law here in Canada and everywhere else in the West, and that the Quran will be the scriptures of the West, and so on and so forth. What they didn't understand, which I had the opportunity to explain to them, is they're being used, okay? Because they're saying that Islam will be the world religion. I said, no, you're not even close, okay? Pagan earth worship will be the world religion, okay? You are being used to destroy the Christian faith, okay, and the laws that we have, which are really not laws at all, because they're not the laws as per the scriptures. They're the corporate legal rules and regulations. But besides that, the Sharia will be the law and Islam will be the faith, and that's that. And I did explain that you, like everybody else, is being used as a useless idiot. So how do we get the Muslims in here? Well, the best way to get them in here is to bomb the shit out of their countries and then get up the empathy card. Oh, look at the poor people in Syria and here and everywhere else. Look, they've been bombed into oblivion. We got to help them. And the people I don't know, they got short circuits in their brains or something. Do you not ask yourself a question? Well, who bombed the shit out of them? Oh, we did. Well, why did we do that? Now, people just don't ask questions. Why did we bomb the shit out of them? Well, because they want to destroy your laws. They want to destroy your religion because it's been said over and over and over again, two things must fall before they can have their world government. And one is that damn Constitution, which Bush just called a damn piece of paper. Be a lot easier if it wasn't for that damn piece of paper. Well, he's telling you what they're up to, the destruction from the inside. It is an inside job. It's always been an inside job. And the Christian faith. Once those two things are gone, it's their baby. So, we got one thing Prince said, Chris, that I found very interesting that really pissed him off in that interview was that he went to school, right? Poor bugger. He went to school and he was taught about George Washington. Now, I don't know, he's probably correct, but he said he learned later that there were 8 presidents before George Washington.
I heard 7.
Well, okay, but there was several anyways, right? I haven't had time to look that up yet. And I've heard it before, and I've never bothered to go check it out because it doesn't really matter. But the fact is that he wasn't taught that in school, and that really pissed him off. It's interesting. It was an interesting interview, but I could see the confusion. And so I wrote this kind of stuff on Facebook earlier today. People were just posting this all over the place as videos. So I basically went through and just said, maybe Prince was confused or didn't have a full grip on what was going on here, because to bitch about chemtrails and then praise the United Nations and be a Jehovah's Witness all at the same time, there's some serious confusion going on there. And this is what happens to many people. I've met people who are fighting fluoride, and if you bring up windmills, they look at you like they hate your guts. Wait a minute, you like windmills, but you hate fluoride. Well, fluoride's poison, and windmills is going to give us clean, green, free energy. And you say, how can you possibly be that stupid, right? And this is the problem. It's the confusion, and it's chaos. That's what they say. Order out of chaos. It's so freaking chaotic And people don't have the time to connect all of these different things that are going on and aim it at and link it back to where it's actually coming from. Okay.
Well, I read an article today mentioning about a Chinese company going bankrupt out west. Canuck, whatever they are, they're Chinese. Anyways, they who are extracting our resources from us. They're going bankrupt, and there's a big mess being left behind that the taxpayer is going to be paying for.
Well, yeah.
And then somebody said, "Well, I'm reading comments because I'm always curious about comments."
I like the comments.
Unfortunately, in mainstream media, you don't get the real comments. You get what they allow you to read. Comments, but I mean, there was a good point made by one that said, "Well, okay, so now we go green, and now we get windmills. We clean up this mess, and then what happens in 25, 30 years when these windmills start to go to dust? And they will. There'll be issues. Is the company that built them going to keep them up to speed?
No, they're not. Like
exactly.
The contracts are 20-year contracts.
Yeah.
Now it
perfect,
depends. It depends.
And the life cycle is 20 to 30 years.
Yeah. So the farmers have, I think it's a 20. At least I had contracts years ago, actual contracts, and the farmer, I think, had 24-hour window to say yay or nay to the renewal of the contract, right? And if he failed to catch that, then they were automatically renewed. And so the farmer, and if you're a farmer and you have a windmill on your yard from one of these companies, I would suggest that you mark that on your calendar, because you've only got a 24-hour window, and you got to remember this 20 years down the road, okay? And if you don't remember it, you can't refuse it. And the way it's set up is that these companies are going to walk away from these things, and the farmers are going to be left taking them down. And it's going to cost them more to remove them than they ever got paid for hosting the damn things, right? You think the guys that put these windmills up are going to pay the $100,000 plus to take them down? Not a chance. Right?
Well, and you got to understand that these farmers you're speaking of is guys like you and me.
Oh, yeah. But most of these farmers, what they did was they put the farmers into such financial stress, they didn't really feel they had an option but to say, somebody's offering us free money, right? Yep. Money is the root of all evil, right? I mean, it really, truly is. You look
but
at
who puts a person in that situation where they have to make that kind of decision?
Well, the same people that want to put the windmills up. They know what they're doing. We want this land, so we're going to put a hurt on these guys, and then they'll accept what we want to do. Yeah. And it's always been that way, right? We want a war. How are we going to have a war? Everything's going good. What we'll do is we'll create a huge depression and bankrupt half the population and put them in a starving position. So getting a paycheck to send home to the family for going to war looks like a pretty reasonable option. And it's always been done this way.
Yeah.
And we need to stop.
It's funny that there's not enough people catching on to this money game.
Yeah, it's so simple once you look at it with clear eyes. I mean, it is so simple, right?
Yeah, nothing has to be complicated. You have to do all of these.
You don't have to do the rabbit
economists that come out and try and they razzle dazzle you to the point where you have no clue what the monetary system is all about.
Well, you're not supposed to.
When it comes down to the basics, it's very simple.
Yeah, it's a fraud. It's that simple, right?
But it's on a major scale.
Well, it is on a major scale, but it's controlled by a very few people. So. The idea that the idea that this paper currency, it only works because people accept it, because they were told to accept it, and they really truly, this is $50. No, it's a chunk of paper with $50 wrote on it is what it is. That's all what it is. Okay? And that's, and you just accept it as it's no different than you know, in the old days when they used to notch a stick, or they used to use gravel or pretty coins or shells or whatever the hell they were using.
Tally sticks.
Yeah, it's still
They lasted for 5,000 years.
Yeah. So these guys just learned how to take advantage of that and control it, and then they basically control everything that we've got cooking here now. So
it's really sad that we have to say they.
Well, what
we all know who they are, but it's unfortunate, and I get frustrated sometimes.
Well, when I say they, I mean I just
we know who we're talking about, but unfortunately, a lot of people that listen might not understand who they are.
Well, then they need to go and investigate who they are. I get people asking me all the time.
Steer them in a direction.
You know, can you give me actual documentation and this and that? And I said, you know, I could probably do that. I don't have time to do it. I've put my thoughts down here for you. It's very simple for you to take those thoughts and go Google them yourself and go and find the documents yourself. I mean, I pointed you in the right direction, and I don't like lazy people. So if you want me to spoon feed you everything, then it's probably not going to resonate in your brain because you haven't put any effort into it. And sometimes that pisses people off, but tough luck. Okay, it's very simple to research things now. It's way too simple now. It's getting simpler by the hour. Okay, so for people they have no excuse not for going and poking around. I mean, information's everywhere. Oh, by the way, happy 90th, Queen Elizabeth. Or actually, what I should say is happy 90th, Elizabeth the woman. Middle finger, 2 middle fingers for you, Queen. Okay, because Elizabeth is a woman and separate, and the Queen is a fictional entity. And while the fictional entity, the Queen, and Elizabeth the woman are separate, they remain indivisible. I love that. I really love that. This is what they tell us. And you say, you know, well, logic would ask the question, if they are separate yet indivisible, then they can't be separate. Because if they're indivisible, they can't be separated. This is a kind of double talk that confuses and cons people, right? And you got to pay attention to what the hell they're telling you and the language they use, because they're talking out both sides of their face. And that's exactly what Merle Haggard was saying. I hate statesmen who, you know, talk out both sides of their face, which is true. And that's what's messed us up. We got off on the wrong road, and we got to go get back on the right road. Once we're on the right road, these guys can't control the right road. They have no capacity to control the right road. We're on their road, okay? And we got to play by their rules on their road. What we got to do is get back to our road, which is a road based in law, not this legal system nonsense. So,
well, based on what I'm seeing, Ron, and based on what you're saying, I don't see a lot of people understanding the concept of the right road.
Well, this
is so generational that if you try and give something basic that used to be something that would be considered normal, and you try and explain that now, they do look at you, the average citizen looks at you like you have a hole in your head. And there is no way around it. You cannot, I mean, you could bring it back maybe 10 years, and they would agree with you. But you go back to where, you know, well, I mean, you were never free, but you go back to the 50s and the 60s, where, you know, you could, there were certain things you could do, and nobody sweated it. It wasn't a big deal. You could call somebody a fag, and they'd laugh at you because it was just a joke. Now you go to fucking jail for it, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, McCarthyism in the 50s. I mean, at the same time, McCarthy was, attempting to out what was inside America. Okay, and this happened before the First World War One. Okay, it happened way before World War One. Okay, and so by the 50s, so you had a certain faction was brought into the United States after World War One to start moving the agenda in a hard way. And because the League of Nations failed, they had to do World War II, and they took the opportunity in between to set up the public school system to indoctrinate the children and to try to tell them that there is no creator, there is no God, you're a freaking monkey, and that's it because science says you are. That started to weaken the minds and the spines of the people, okay, and set them up to accept. It made them weaker. That's the whole point about weakening people. Normalizing things that were never normal before, okay? So they were run on a long haul. So it took a long time to accept, say, the gay pride parade, right? And it's been normalized now. If a politician doesn't attend the gay pride parade, well, he's a piece of shit, right? Or she is, right?
Yep.
So it took time. But I mean, these things that I put up on my blog, which people seem, it is the arts. Understand that it is the arts. It's the liberal arts. It's the lawyering as an art. These are all fictional things. These are all idolatry, right? The arts is idolatry. Okay, this is how they've confused and manipulated people, getting people to believe the fiction is the reality and the reality is the fiction. Putting our world upside down, which in other words put us on the wrong road. But I mean the 1950 in the 1950s, McCarthy's trying to out these guys in Hollywood and that. And it was working okay for a while, but then the Jewish people in the industry pulled the backlash, right? Okay, and eventually drowned out McCarthyism, which was just trying to out these people that were trying to undermine the sovereignty of the nation known as America. Okay? And so what's going on here now?
He had to be put down.
Exactly,
that's
and that's what they do. And I got a very interesting note today from a Native woman who runs a Facebook, and I'd put something in. I don't even remember what it was, but if I can find this, which I may not find it. Maybe I can dig it out here. Oh, here it is. This is what she said, and I know she'd been working extraordinarily hard at trying to wake up her people, the Native people. And here's what she put. Somebody shared this photo on, or this meme or whatever you call it, to her site. And what it says is, the more wisdom you attain and the more conscious you become, the crazier you will appear to others. Now, I think you can understand that, Chris. Yeah. So, she had written that all I put in there was keep talking, teaching, and shining the light. They are waking. Took a hell of a long time, but they are beginning to wake. And Elizabeth, who is the Native lady, wrote, "Thanks, Ron, because I was about to give up lately and hang up my boxing gloves." Right? And I just wrote her. I said, "That's what they want. They want the true warriors to throw up their arms and walk away. That's what
Well,
they're
Ron,
doing.
if it's happening to me.
I can hear
What
it in
you
your. I
saying?
can hear it in your voice.
I'm getting tired,
Yeah,
and
well,
they're wearing me down. But
we are all tired. We're all been basically bankrupted. Our lives have been put on total hold, so I just told her to hang in there, right? And she wrote back, "Yeah, they do want us to wear out. They do want us to quit." And, thank you. Some people are beginning to listen, yes, and they are beginning to wake up by self-educating themselves and having open minds. The minds are opening, okay? It's frustrating. It's been such a long haul. But if the long haulers quit, then those that we've been trying to wake up, all the information that we've gathered, all the knowledge we've gained is useless because we won't be there to explain to the people that want to know it. And that's why it's important that we hang in there. We will win this damn thing. Make no mistake about it.
Well, let's get into that for a second and talk about you and your show.
I don't have.
You do what you do. You make millions of dollars doing what you do, don't you?
Yeah, actually, me and the wife we flew down to
just out spending all your money.
Well, we were going to buy a new yacht out of Florida, but we thought, well, now that Cuba's come on board, and the Cubans get paid a lot less than the Americans, so we decided that we would purchase our new yacht down in Cuba, and we feel that it will really help the economy of Cuba. So we're just good people, yeah.
Well, the point being is
I haven't got a driver.
You were spending your time and energy doing this to wake people up for nada. Like you're not making money off of this.
Well, this is
you don't have an agenda other than freedom. And people got to wake up and understand that. If you
go, Chris,
I'm gonna get you a gig on Alex Jones, maybe.
I don't really want to use movies, but if you go back and that movie, I think had a good ending to it, which was Logan's Run. Okay, he was a policeman, and his job was to shoot dissenters and to track anybody that tried to get out of the city. And eventually he ended up chasing people out of the city. He actually ended up figuring out that maybe there is something else. So they went outside the city, and they realized that they've been all lied to all that time. And when he came back to the city, and all of the people from the closed city, which is your sustainable human settlement, came out of there and realized they'd all been lied to. It all changes that quick. And so, all I can say to people is do not get frustrated. I mean, it is frustrating. I mean, it's like George Carlin, the big club they use to beat you on the head all day. Well, you've been beat on to death. I've been beat on to death. I mean, Michael Schmidt, all he does is produce milk for people that want milk. And now the region of York is going after his farm somehow. I mean, he's been at this for over 20 years. They've been beating on his ass, right? And now they want to try. They're saying we can't.
It's like
take this guy
I mentioned
back
to
down.
you personally. So, they're taking him down 1 acre at a time.
Well, it's death by paper cuts, because that's what they use to take you down is paper. They took you. They're driving you nuts with paper. Driving you nuts with paper, right? We got to get back to law. Chris, anyways, let's back here. Here Saturday night. Making money they don't get. See their shit, force them back, fuck them back. It's only what they want. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, they burn the kids. No one makes time. Trees lie to your face, fight and die. 'Cause God will give.